Recently, I've been thinking about motifs in art and how popular artists utilize motifs in their art practice. Like Takashi Murakami with his flowers, Damien Hirst with his formaldehyde-filled boxes, Jeff Koons with his blue orbs, Yayoi Kusama with her pumpkins, Grayson Perry with Alan Measles and Claire, Dali with the lobster, Andy Warhol with the soup can. The list could go on and on and on. And that got me thinking about iconography that crops up within my own print practice. Last year, I posted a video where I talked about flowers and butterflies and how I thought they were a great metaphor for change because they go through the process of metamorphosis. But there are other icons that crop up in my print practice, like the castle. Now, those who know me well know that I live in Brighton, but I'm actually originally from Nottingham, and Nottingham has a castle. And when I was younger, I used to visit the castle quite regularly. Now, Nottingham Castle has a really interesting history. It was built by the Normans after William the Conqueror invaded England, and it has stood in some shape or form since then. The particular part of the history of the castle that I find the most interesting was 600 years after the castle was built. This was when Charles I raised his standard and essentially started the English Civil War. The most amusing part of that story is that Charles I raised the standard in the hopes that he could bolster an army, and basically nobody turned up. He would later lose the Civil War and his head, and England for the first time would become a republic. That story has always really captivated me, and when I think about the castle within my own practice, I think about it as a homage to my town, and also maybe not to be too confident or get too far ahead of myself. So that was some context about why I like castles. Now, in today's video, I'm going to design some brand new mailers that are castle themed. These mailers, when they're finished, will be used to ship out all of my A3 orders to my online customers. Let's get to it. I started by drawing out a castle loosely based on Nottingham Castle's gatehouse. I then added some flames for a little bit of narrative. I then took a short break to think about what I could design for the back of the envelope. In the end, I landed on a guy in stocks with the return address around his neck. I then scanned in the sketches and began working them up. Once the designs were finished, I then separated the layers and sent them to the printers. Once the acetates had arrived, it was time to start printing. Due to a rail strike, I had to jump on the bus to my studio, which was annoying, but it did mean for the majority of the journey I got a lovely sea view. Once I got into my studio, I started by exposing the design onto the screen, washing it out and then leaving it to dry. Whilst the screen was drying, I coated another screen which I'll use later on. Once the screen was dry, I then taped off the screen and looked for pinhole spots. I then mixed the transparent base with the ink, cracked open the big old box of envelopes, and got printing. I proceeded with the back of the envelopes first. These printed really well, and I got them finished pretty quickly. Here's the envelopes with the first layer down. I then cleaned the screen. Whilst the screen was drying, I exposed the screen that I coated earlier on with the second part of the design and left that to dry. I was then ready to print the front of the envelope. This layer went down fairly easily. I tussled with using the printing arm and in the end reverted back to printing with my hands. Here are the envelopes with the second layer down. I then cleaned the screen and stripped it ready for my next print project. It was then just a case of printing the last layer. Now this layer did not print easily. I couldn't get the tension right on the print bed, and so I had to peel each envelope off the screen after printing it, which slowed me down significantly. But I battled through it and got it done. Here are the finished A3 envelopes ready to ship out all of your orders. I guess at some point I should think about designing some prints. That was the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really glad to be posting again regularly. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Maybe you could even share it with a friend who loves castles. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye!